right, welcome back to episode 96 of the Hops and Bops podcast. I am always Tom.
And I'm back. It's Mike.
And Mike is back. Welcome back, Mike. It's good to see you. I saw you yesterday, but it's good to have you back on the show.
It's true.
Yes.
It's been a couple episodes.
Yeah. And so we're gonna do two albums. We're gonna do mine first, though. I'm gonna do the self-titled debut of a band that I really love. They're called Alvvays, although I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it. That's just how I pronounce it. It's spelled Alvvays. They're a really cool band that I found a couple years ago. We'll get into that. It's their self-titled debut, which I actually have on vinyl right here. And look at that beautiful blue color. Oh my goodness. It's like a baby blue, sky blue. I love it.
I do like it. Just because I want to check quick, it is pronounced Always.
Okay, that's what I figured.
You are correct.
Yeah, but we'll get into that later because we're going to go through the beer of choice first, which is the Fairway India Pale Ale from Thomas Hooker Brewery. It is a 5%, I believe, a crushable citrus character. Yes, 5% ABV. Right on the side of the can, I will read the little description. It says, "Tee up and crush this easy drinking IPA. We crafted this brew to be the ultimate companion on the links. The abundance of sultana and citra hops drives this brew all the way to the green. It makes any day on or off the course a hole in one." And Mike, you're a bit of a golfer, as am I, but you're a bit more of a golfer. Jesus, this just shot everywhere.
She said.
All right, everyone calm down. So we've done a couple Thomas Hooker breweries or Thomas Hooker beers in the past. They are another one of the big staple breweries.
Yeah, they were one of the, I don't know for sure, but they were one of the earlier Connecticut local kind of brewery type deals, homebrew type situations.
Yeah.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, I would say like probably the big three are them, Two Roads, and like Treehouse, I guess. There's probably a couple other ones I'm missing, but
yeah. So
they're great. I really love. And I found this beer pretty recently. I was in the supermarket and I was like, golf beer. That seems kind of fun. I'm a bit of a golfer. I'm not very good, but I like doing it.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love. It's a great beer. So I just want to bring it on the pod.
Yeah, so the Thomas Hooker was established in '96, so obviously well before the big local craft brew kind of blow up. And then they were originally located in an old spaghetti warehouse in Hartford, and they were originally called Trout Brook Brew Pub.
Okay.
And then in 2003, Trout Brook was rebranded to its now best-selling beer, Thomas Hooker Ale. So they switched over. And in 2006, company, an ownership group took over the company. In 2007, they moved to Bloomfield, where they currently reside, with a solely manufacturing microbrewery with a focus on distribution. They've been around. They've been around a long time.
Yeah, and I've been to their brewery in Hartford. It's a nice little place. They have a lot of cool events. They have like you can bring your dog to the brewery kind of day.
Maybe I have.
They have, it's like a regular brewery. You can go and see all of like the big vats where they make everything in the back. They have like I could be remembering this wrong, but they had like a pipe that went from like the old building to the new building so that they could like move product around through it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's a pretty nice environment. I've only been a handful of times, but it has been a while since we've done a Thomas Hooker brew.
Do we remember what the last
I'm going through right now. I think it was one of the Christmas episodes.
And I want to say that yes, although I was very, very intoxicated.
No, it was the first Christmas episodes.
No. I'm talking just in general about the Thomas Hooker.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I've done that.
Either way, yeah, we've done at least one, and we should do more because they do have a lot of great beers. And the thing I fell in love with about this beer is that it's it's not like I know the word like standard is kind
Yeah.
of not something to really be excited about, but this is like something that you can drink while you're on the golf course. I know there's some beers that you can drink and you're like, oh shit, I can't really do much now. Like you
Yeah.
can it kind of weighs you down or whatever. This
Mhm.
is oddly like really refreshing. And I
Yep.
think a lot of that comes from just like the standard 5%. Like you're not getting a really boozy beer, but you're also not getting something that, you're not going to taste. Like you definitely taste it. And it's got
Yeah.
those good IPA qualities that I, as a straight white man, really enjoy. And
Oh,
it's just great. There's not a lot else to say. Like I don't think there's been a beer that has really like lived up to its marketing more than this. Like when I drink this, I'm like, I could fucking drink this playing a round of
yeah.
18 or
Well, I mean,
whatever,
when you're golfing, you got to think most of the time when you golf, it's warm out. You're exerting yourself to a certain degree.
Mhm.
There is a as much as we're not professionals, there's a level of finesse and focus and everything else in order to play a decent round of golf. And this is just a beer that you can drink without, like you said, getting bloated, getting over, feeling like garbage, kind of hard to drink because then it takes a little too long to drink and it gets warm. Like, all these factors that fall into place. This is just a very straightforward citrus simple IPA.
Yeah, yeah, and very similar to the last beer we did, which was the fruit, the road jam. You know,
Yes.
I finished a whole 4-pack of these, and then I gave Mike the last one because it's so that we could have it for the episode. And then I went out today and grabbed another 4-pack, and I'm very happy that I can finish another one of these. Like,
Oh, easily.
yeah, so it's not something that is gonna knock your socks off every single time, but like it's a really, really solid beer. It's gonna rank pretty
Yeah.
high for me.
The first couple times I had it, I was actually playing golf with our buddy Trevor, and
Mhm.
he lives in Bloomfield, so he would just grab them all the time. So this is a go-to for us when we golf. There's almost, I'd say every 2 or 3 times we go, one of those times he's going to have a 4-pack of Fairway IPA.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great beer. It's a session IPA, so it's not available year round, which makes sense because you can't golf year round. Well, actually, you can, but
Not
not
here.
here.
I mean,
Yeah,
you got to go to the heated teas at Cody's, and
I wish.
those are fun.
Yeah, no, I am very happy that I have this beer because I can really fuck with it. And
Ooh.
and by the way, I did look back. We've only done one Thomas Hooker Brewery, which was that one that I brought for the Christmas episode,
Okay.
the stocking stuffer, which was the Nor'easter Winter Lager.
Yes, that one's good.
Yes, but Thomas Hooker does have a wide selection of beers. I feel like I'm a freaking like I work for them now.
Could lead to something.
Yeah, I know. Listen, they've got their blonde ale, the Citrillo, the hashtag no filter, which I have not
No
had, but
filters.
I'd like to.
I've had the no filter quite a bit. It's on tap at a lot of places.
Yep, yeah. They've got the Hot Meadow, the Sizzling Hippie. If you've been to a liquor store, you've seen the super duper double Citra that looks like the Double Dare logo.
Yep.
I have an idea of what I want to do with that in the future. Maybe we'll get to that. I have a good pairing in the future. They also have a Tom Lager, which I really have to try. I'm not a huge lager guy, but it's named after me. So
Sure.
yeah, it is my brewery. I do own partial stake in ownership.
Your name is Tom. You are a hooker, so it works.
I listen, and I live in Connecticut, so that's like the big three. I get around my name,
Yep.
and Connecticut. That's all you need. And I golf, so that's 4.
Triple threat.
Quadruple, really. Anyway, to transition a little bit, we have the self-titled debut 2014 release from the band Alvvays, spelt with 2 V's. And you can kind of jump in after this because I think sometimes when you get into an artist a little bit, sometimes it just happens to be like the perfect storm of things coming together to you discovering this artist and then just falling in love with all of their discography.
Yeah.
For me, this was 2019, I believe, or 2018.
Right.
I had a friend in college named Andrew. Shout out to Andrew Dauba, very cool guy. He was a big fan of them, and he kind of showed me some of their stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty good. And then there's a music reviewer that I follow all the time. His name is Anthony Fantano. He really liked their sophomore album called Anti-Socialites in 2017. He gave that a very high rating. And so I fell in love with that album first, the 2017 one. And then I kind of went back into their back catalog and was like, oh, well, they only have 2 albums out. It's this one that we're talking about today, and Anti-Socialites. But speaking of which, they actually are going to drop a new album in October, which is very, very exciting. Can't wait to see that. But anyway, I went back into their catalog and listened back a little bit, trying to get a fuller taste of their music. And this album just really popped out to me. It's relatively short. It's only 32 minutes and 53 seconds, only 9 tracks. It's got this summery quality to it of like, listening to it while you're driving with the windows down, or just kind of like we did this weekend, kind of play it while we're swimming in the water or playing horseshoes or whatever it was. It's got that good quality to it. It's pretty bright when it wants to be. There are a couple tracks that kind of weigh down a little bit for me from being like very, very high up there, but I think it's a very serviceable album. I think it has a lot of fun. It really, there's no BS to it. You get what you get. It is a little bit like weird, like the Alvvays, but spelled with 2 V's to kind of be different. That was kind of, I don't know about that, but I love it. I've seen them live once in 2019. I went to Central Park, actually, in New York City. They had a Canada Day event where they brought they're Canadian, by the way. I should probably mention that. And they brought out Canadian artists to kind of have this fun day. And there's a couple artists, and then they came on and they put on just a fantastic set. We were like right in the front because we got there pretty early. I went with Andrew, my friend, as well. And it was just a great time. They put on a great show, good vibes all around. And the lead singer is great. The guitar work, the drums, the bass, the synth is pretty tight knit in there as well. And one of their biggest songs of all time is on this, called Archie Marry Me. Currently their most popular song on Spotify.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just a great album. I mean, I don't buy bad albums on vinyl. So this is the back of it, by the way.
Nice.
So just a great album. I love it. So
get into it.
Figured I'd bring it to the podcast. I'll show you the inner sleeve, by the way, and everything too. Kind of a cool, like, I don't know what's going on here, kind of like Minecraft-y. And then they have like handwritten liner notes and lyrics and everything.
Oh, cool.
Pretty nice. I just love this fucking color, man. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's like sky blue, and it still sounds very, very nice. I don't know what happened with like the sticker in the center. It's just kind of boring, but it's pretty great. I love it. And it starts off really strong with adult diversion.
Yeah, I did like the way it opened. It opens with the drums and just comes right in, and you just get that, like, you get that kind of indie pop feel right off the bat. And I gotta say, the one thing I did like, as you said, is you hear that first song come in between the drums and the guitar riff, the vocals, the bass, everything falls into place. Right from the first minute of this song what the rest of the album is going to be like.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's really no, I guess not to use the word diversion, but, there's really not a lot of diversion off of this kind of similar path and style for majority of this album, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
If I should fall, I don't know. It, like, a part of me just loves to sing this kind of stuff. It's just really fun. So this album topped the U.S. college charts. I don't know what the U.S. college charts are, but people in 2014 were really gobbling this stuff up. They're signed to Polyvinyl. They play at South by Southwest and all these other big things. It's just a great vibe all around.
South by Southwest, St. Paul played that.
Yes, yeah, they put out a whole album from it, right?
They put out that live that little live like 5-song set they
Yeah, I
did.
remember
But they do a cover of shit,
Oh yeah,
with Lizzo.
like in a Lizzo. Yeah. Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, she was on there
But
before she got really big.
that change is gonna come or something like that.
Yeah. They
Cool.
actually, I'm reading the Wikipedia as we go along. Our great sponsor, Wikipedia. Give them money and then give us money. They were actually signed because of their performance at South by Southwest. So they saw the strength of those performances and also the online response to the demo of their single Adult Diversion. And they were signed to Polyvinyl, which
I could
has
see
what's is on Polyvinyl.
I could see these guys being a band that, because they do have a very kind of steady sound. They don't, they don't divert much from where their kind of their comfort zone is. And I could see how a live performance would possibly give them an edge over somebody else versus just listening to the recording.
Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about that before. We've had artists that we've brought onto the podcast where we saw them live, and that changes your whole thought process about them as a musician. It's that live element that really is that X factor.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. And just looking at Polyvinyl's roster of artists, they actually have signed Jeff Rosenstock, which I didn't even know, which is very funny.
And the funny thing is, when we had this conversation, was it yesterday or day before?
Oh yeah, you said there's a bit of a Jeff Rosenstock
I got a little
quality.
Jeff Rosenstock vibe, and I don't think it was necessarily like, obviously he's got a male voice and he's got a little bit more, I'd say, guitar driven. But I think it's just kind of that airy indie sound that, it sounds like a professional version of like a basement recording.
Yeah.
Which I think is what they're going for. You know what I mean? They're not going for that super clean cut, immaculate, overproduced, studio driven kind of an album.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the singles from this were Adult Diversion,
okay,
Archie Marry Me, and Next of Kin. Those are the only two.
Okay.
But a lot of publications really loved it for this being their debut. It's a pretty solid debut.
Yeah.
What? There's a 10th track on the Japanese bonus edition underneath us. I gotta check that out. Because I've heard the B-sides of their other album, and they're actually really good.
Okay.
So I'm gonna check that one out later. But yeah, Adult Diversion, a lot like their other songs, it's just kind of fun indie party music. Yeah. It's meant to have a good vibe to it. So if you want to listen to something, and I know a lot of my albums that I rate pretty highly, they're super thematic. They've got these other elements of so many different fusions of sounds coming together. This one's just pretty straightforward, like indie pop. I know I used the word dream pop before, and that was kind of a new thing.
Part of their Wikipedia label.
Yeah. They're also labeled as like shoegaze, which is if you don't know, it's like a style of music that's like effect heavy, and it's named after people looking at their pedal boards. So they're gazing down at their shoes all the time, just kind of messing around with a bunch of stuff. Okay. Which I can see on a couple traps. Yeah, I don't know about jangle pop. That's like car commercial music.
I like jangle pop. I like that name.
We should start a band called Jangle Pop.
I like that. It's good. So I mean, like I said, the first song was exactly what you kind of it did the groundwork. It was a good opener. It started. The second one then came in, which you said was one of their more popular or their most popular song.
It's got 68 million plays. Their second most has 72 million, but the way Spotify works, it's like who's playing it like currently the most is ranks out on top. So those two are like their biggest ones. The other one's called Dreams Tonight, I think. But yeah, this one falls under the same category as the first one. It's a little bit slower, a little bit less party-ish. This one's a bit more like lovey. The idea of the track is like, she wants to have this person just marry them, and this presumably Archie, is against the fact because he's got student loans and doesn't want to risk like paying alimony payments in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But the lead singer's just like, hey, just let's just get married. What the hell? Molly Rankin is the main vocalist, and she also plays guitar. She's awesome. She puts on a really great show, and the whole band really does a great job.
Is a large portion of the band female? Is that what I'm saying?
It's half and half. So it's Molly and Carrie McClellan, who does the keyboards and some backing vocals. But the other guys are Alec and Brian. And
now Brian as a past musician.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
So I think Brian got the boot.
Brian got the. I know they've had a couple drummers.
And they got Abby. She's the drummer. Abby Blackwell.
Are you on Wikipedia?
Drummer. I am on Wikipedia.
Oh, I'm on the Always album, not on the Always main one.
I'm on the main one.
There's actually 3 different people listed for drums on this.
Oh, okay.
So we've got Sheridan Riley, Eric Hamlin, and Chris Dadge.
Abby's the bassist.
Oh, okay. So they've definitely had some turnaround of personnel. When I saw them live, they had this female drummer who had really long curly hair and was just kind of going crazy with it, and they rocked it. The only shitty thing about that show was that it was in New York City, and they have a curfew of 10 for any like outdoor music stuff because it was just like right in the center of Central Park. And so even if we wanted an encore, they physically could not.
They were just
it was rough.
Okay.
But yeah, you can understand why this is their most popular track. They've got a lot of reverb vocals and a good groove that it finds itself in. Kind of fun / relatable, I guess. I don't know what the right word is for it. It's tough because like this album is kind of similar to the next album we're gonna do, which I won't spoil just yet, but it's got elements to it that are good, but it's hard to like really dive deep into it.
They're both, the one you picked and the one I picked are very simplistic, straightforward. it kind of like vibe music, like you're just it fits a vibe, it fits a zone, and it rides that zone well, and it doesn't stray. It doesn't. It's not gonna like, you're not gonna jump out of your seat, but you're gonna enjoy it front to back. Yeah,
and I think this album is kind of like a what's the right word for it? Like the sum is greater than the parts combined. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah, I think they really work well together. They have a good chemistry. They seem to have a lot of fun. I mean, they're finally putting out their next album after almost 5 or 6 years. Last album was 2017. It's now 2022.
Yep.
And this will only be their 3rd album, so they're not like trying to
mass produce.
Yeah, or like break some kind of algorithm to get on a lot of playlists or whatever it is. They do it for the love of the music and to make good music, which I can really appreciate. So
for sure,
it kind of sucks as a fan because they only have 2 albums out right now. But yeah, exactly. And I'm going to see them in November 15th at in New Haven, Connecticut. If you're there, come see me. And it's going to be right after their new album, so hopefully they still play a lot of their
more stuff. Yeah. So that's what they'll be pushing.
Yeah, which is, I mean, if it's a good album, I've got no issues with it. The single they dropped called "Pharmacist" was really, really good too.
Okay.
Not as good as this song, but still pretty good.
Disappointing when I saw and I'm disappointing, but like the band Revolution. I saw them back in June. They're still kind of pushing their newest album, which came out last year, and it wasn't a great album. It was just a very mellow, slow album, and they've got so many songs that they're cutting from their old albums that were so energetic, and it was like,
in terms of seeing them live.
Seeing them live, it like hurts you a little bit,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So
hopefully that doesn't happen with them, but I mean, they've put out 2 quality albums so far, so hopefully the 3rd one will be just as good. We jump to the next track, "Ones Who Love You." This one's a lot more mellow.
Yeah.
Little slowed down. Still a bit more on the lovier side. Take from the loves who won you. Take from the ones who love you. Leave with the ones who don't. Lie to the ones who like you. Lay with the ones who won't. When lightning strikes, blah, blah, blah. So still fits those same guidelines, but this one is it's much more mellow, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's, you know, slower tempo. Still a great, like, this is where this like dream pop element comes in, because you've got these kind of elements to it that seem like it's a little bit more ethereal without having too many of the effects that kind of back that up. It just sounds very dreamy, you know.
Yeah, it does.
And
it's, like you said, airy with all that open space and reverb, and even the drums. Doom, doom, bah, doom, doom, bah,
yeah,
you know, that kind of big snare drum hit that's rather than that tight little snap.
Yeah, and even the lyrics backing that up, like right at the end of the first verse, where she's like, "When lightning strikes, I will be on my bike. I won't be stuck inside. I will be taking flight," and then just kind of opens up to the full band. And I think later and when the wheels come off, I'll be an astronaut, but I won't be lost in space. I will be skipping rocks.
Interesting.
Yeah, when Molly sings up in that high register, it just really it's really it fits the vibe probably perfectly. Like when like I said it before, like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You know, they all play their roles perfectly.
Oh, great.
You know, there's not one that really stands out. Like obviously the Molly stands out a little bit just because she's the lead singer, and that's going to happen with any band. But yeah, they're just very tight in my opinion, and yeah, that's a good track as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it was a little mellow. Kind of the vibe went down a bit, but it wasn't a bad song.
Yeah, I mean, the first two tracks were pretty energetic, kind of poppy, and this one needed to bring it down just a little bit.
Yep.
You know, so great track. I really, really do enjoy it. Next of Kin follows that same line as well. This one was a single. I didn't know.
Okay.
Putting out 3 singles for a 9 track album. Kind of interesting. Okay. But you know, whatever. This one kind of goes into like a past love, I guess. Kind of talks about, if I know you couldn't swim, we would have never gone in. I left my love in the river, the only one who sees. I lost his hand in the current. It was the life I wanted and I'd hoped for. And now I am left sitting through the leaves. I wonder if there's something going on there. If she
wasn't a lifeguard.
She accidentally killed someone.
Oh God.
Oh, and what if, you know, Phil Collins in the air tonight? Well, if you told me you were drowning, I could not lend a hand.
Yeah, that's not good.
What if he was?
That's how. Who's the guy that's really well known for his version of Hallelujah?
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, that's how he died.
Drowning, really?
I believe so.
Oh, rest in peace. Anyway,
maybe she let him go.
You know what? If Molly was the lifeguard, you know, it could have happened.
I like the tempo of this song. I like that it picked it back up. It's kind of got that driving drum the whole time. Kind of got that guitar in the background, which is kind of cool. You know, just a different sound. A lot of different elements to this one. I feel like this is a more intricate song.
Yes.
Because you've got the keys fluttering. You have the guitar picking at the beginning. You've got that kind of droning, distorted guitar that's almost like Muse sounding. The band Muse.
Okay.
Like kind of like that very effect guitar that's like overly distorted but not crunchy.
Okay. I got you. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. You know, there's a lot more at play on this track than there are in other ones.
Yeah.
I'll turn this up actually.
Yeah, I think we're talking, you know, we're 4 songs in now, right? 3 or 4 songs.
This is track 4.
And I don't know, I feel like this is the most they've kind of thrown at you at once.
But it still works. It still fits the same vibes. Yeah.
I kind of like it. I like that they, you know, the first song was Party Go Go Go. It was a great opener. But this one, as a musician, you can start hearing a lot of the different elements and a little bit more of their like expertise.
Yeah, yeah, and there's good songwriting aspects to it too, like around the 2:20 mark, everything kind of I almost said dumbs down. Everything kind of cuts out, and it just a
Drum.
guitar or two kind of builds itself back up a little bit, and then at 2:45 it like stops again, just vocals.
Yep.
That's my life and
Actually, right where I am.
yeah, the only one, and then everyone comes back in. I love that kind of stuff. It's just like a
this has got to be a cool live song.
oh yeah, yeah. I probably have a Snapchat of it somewhere in my phone. It's just like a, like a an energy reset, really. It kind of just lets it go, and then boom, comes all back in with everyone. So I love that kind of songwriting aspect, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think this so far, like this out of the first 4 tracks, is probably the first one where I really was like, okay, I really like this song. I really could get into it.
Yeah, definitely a great one. The next track, we've got a track number 5, Party Police. A little bit different, a little bit more somber, but still got that same vibe to it,
Opens very similar to the last song with just that guitar. And then the drums come in slow. I got the little roller coaster there. It was up for a minute, and now it's coming down a little more.
It's the roller coaster, man. I always bring it up.
Her voice sounds like somebody. I just can't.
I don't know.
It's almost like a mix of. Sounds very like 90s. Almost like the Cranberries. You know what I mean? Like that zombie vocals. You know what I'm saying?
It's a little almost Alanis Morissette-ish.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just they've got. If you took this band and you moved them back into like kind of like that grunge pop era, I think they'd fit.
Yeah. I mean, they are a little bit like indie-ish and, like we said, dream pop-ish. But if they put more like rock elements to it, they would fit right in, like you were saying, in that era.
With the Cranberries, and they've got, because they're not American, you can hear a little bit of like and I know Canada's. We're not talking, the other side of the ocean, where but it's still there's other elements that American bands don't necessarily use, and vibes that they don't give off with their styles of music, and I feel like you can hear that in them.
Yeah. I mean, they're distinctly Canadian, and they don't play that card, heavily, because there's not too much to do with that, but it's a nice little flair that you're like, oh, okay, I could see it now that you mention it. But with this track, Party Police, like we were saying before, it's a little bit more somber because I think it's a breakup track.
Yeah.
You've got those lines, you don't have to leave, you can just stay here with me, and those kind of vibes,
Yeah.
But the partner isn't explaining why, and the protagonist doesn't understand what the partner is saying. The protagonist, who I'm just going to assume is Molly, because I think she does a lot of the songwriting. She just like wants to keep the relationship going because they're still in love and want to talk about it and make amends, but the partner is just saying, screw you, I'm done. So we wrote our names on the overpass, and I hope it lasts forever. It's like, oh geez, that's nice.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That is graffiti, and I believe illegal.
I am gonna call the police after this episode's done and report an 8-year-old crime.
8-year-old crime, and I am going to report it to Sting.
Send it over. Actually, this was released, I think, in July of 2014. So it's 8-year anniversary, or we just passed its 8-year anniversary because it's August 1st when we're recording this. So, just another great one.
That's a good song.
Yeah,
I got to say that I understand, on every album, the need for songs that are high energy, low energy, like different vibes, different, breakup songs versus like party songs and all of that. I do have to say that their more low key songs aren't my favorite compared to, I think they're a much better band when they're having a good time.
I agree. I understand what you mean with that too. Like even on the next track, the Agency Group.
Yep.
Definitely not my favorite track, but still has some good elements to it, you know. I think her singing on the chorus is very emotionally driven and hardcore. You know, saying when you whisper you don't think of me that way, when I mentioned you don't mean that much to me, it's like kind of biting, but
Mhm.
still has that very dreamy aspect to it. So
Yeah.
while they can delve into these darker topics, they can still keep that style to them, and I think that's something that's pretty authentic and a little bit difficult to do.
Yeah.
But you know, like I was saying, this one isn't my favorite. I really don't like how it starts and how it ends, that kind of weird droning, that
I feel like their other mellow songs had more pieces to them. This is that constant kind of guitar picking and tum, tum, ta, tum, 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 ta,
very boring drums on this one.
there's not a lot going on here.
Mhm.
And I feel like even her vocals are very kind of like repetitive. Like I get that they normally would be, but I feel like everything in this song just kind of like rides a very slow train.
A little bit, yeah.
And it's 4.5 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm is that the longest one on the album?
It might be.
Let me look. Yes, it is. It's the only one that's over 4 minutes, so
Yeah. So it's like, and there's really no reason for it to be.
I mean, there's like a little guitar solo in there that I
Yeah.
think kind of spices it up a little bit, but like, yeah, like you said, very repetitive,
Yeah.
which I understand as well. Um, next track is Dives, kind of follows that same idea, a little repetitive. This one's a lot dreamier, like
Mhm.
a lot. Like this one feels like you're in a cloud, but it's still not necessarily, you know, like we were saying, something that
Yep.
and not suits them well, but something that maybe isn't their strength, you know? And still very like heartbroken lyrics,
Yeah.
you know, no love to share, so what, who cares? All the
I
documents you
wish
keep and the friends that never phone.
I wish there were some more raw vocals throughout this album
Mm-hmm.
because everything is very affected.
Mm-hmm.
That's even a word to use in
Yeah.
this in this situation. But there's a lot of that reverb and there's a lot of that open, airy kind of vocals. And I feel like she probably has a really good voice. I just wish there were a few times where she kind of went for it or had a little
Mm-hmm.
more grit or a little more something that,
A little bit more chest voice.
yeah.
I
I
can
feel
get
like
that.
her vocals are all just very da 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 da, the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for like that Lizzie Hale. She just kind of like gets, and I know that's not that style of music, but
Yeah.
but I also feel like even with all the other instruments, like the drummer never really just goes for it.
Yeah.
You
Another
know,
track with the kind of straightforward, boring drums.
yeah, the guitarists got that one little solo in the last track, but it wasn't like they ripped a solo. They kind of did the Kurt Cobain, I'm going to play similar to the melody and play it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one real thing that's missing. Like, I don't mind the music and I don't mind a lot of some of the tracks, but I just feel like they almost just needed to jump a little bit at one point and say like, "Hey, look what we got." No, there's a difference between showing off the whole time and showing that, hey, we've got some talent here.
I understand that. Yeah. I mean, you and also kind of Joe to a degree has always been a bit more oriented to the rock side
Oh
of
yeah,
things.
100%.
So I kind of figured this wouldn't be your bread and butter, but I really enjoyed it. And depending on my mood, this song can be a skip.
Yep.
I was just walking my dog today. I'd walked her for 4 miles, humble brag, and and I was listening to this, and the first time I listened to it, I listened to it all the way through, and I just to kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah.
And this is one of my most played albums.
Okay.
Actually, I should look that up on my thing that I talk about all the goddamn time,
Yep.
last.fm. Not just 2022, but of all time. Let's see where this album ranks. This album, 21st of all time for me.
Wow.
I've listened to 610 tracks basically.
Jesus.
So yeah, I really like it. So yeah, but the second time I listened to it, I was like, I know what this song is about.
Yeah.
I when it gets to like the midway point, I'll usually skip it or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's mainly because one of my favorite tracks is right afterwards called Atop a Cake.
Yeah, this one's good.
Yeah, this one is like the last two tracks are kind of, if they didn't really do it for you, this will pick your energy back
Yeah.
up a little bit. And just one of those kind of things where it's, just kind of that guitar pick in the beginning, and then I
Yep.
lie on a sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, similar to Archie Marry Me, in my opinion, explores the concept of marriage and the expectations of matrimony, kind of same feels to it. I just love the chorus. What's it got to do with you?
Yeah.
What's it got to do with me? It's a good time. This is it's if you like those first couple tracks that's kick the album off, this is
Yep.
right in those guidelines.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Um,
No, I gotta say that it definitely was a good jump back after, Party Police, Agency Group, Dives, all kind of low key. And this definitely needed to happen before the album closed.
Yeah, sorry, I just
No,
got in a mood there, and I was bobbing. I actually didn't know why it was called Atop a Cake. But because it's talking about marriage and everything, it's probably the two people on top of the wedding
Yeah.
cake. Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
I like this one.
yeah, this one's so much fun. It's just a good time. It's just a great vibe and a good time.
Well,
I really can't say
again,
much more than that.
I think that's, for me, the saving grace of the album is songs like that
Yeah.
that are, good time, moving along. That definitely got me. Yeah, I like this song. I can listen to this song versus
Mhm.
songs like Dives, where I'm kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
next, not
I know what
really
you
for
mean.
me, not really feeling it,
It's okay.
but it's all right.
Yeah. Well, I know what track's not gonna do it for you, Mike, and that is the closer called Red Planet. I will agree with you. I
I
do
like
not
the
like this one.
opener. I just
What's
like
that?
I like the synth in the beginning.
Kind of neat, yeah.
It's just different. You got a little bit of, almost sounds like some hand drums in the back.
I think they're bongos.
Yeah.
That's what someone was accredited with, bongos on one of the tracks.
Those are hand drums. So yep.
Don't talk about Chad Van Galen like that.
Oh,
He's got a blue link too.
he's for real.
He's also known as Black Mold. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop looking at that.
That's dangerous.
Don't breathe him. Yeah, no, I get where they're trying to go for something different, try to be a bit more synth heavy, a little bit more mysterious, almost like you're floating through space or watching some kind of planetarium. But it just didn't really land for me. This one is absolutely a skip whenever I listen to the album. I consider Atop a Cake to be the real closer.
Yeah, I think the first 45 seconds I liked because it had the synth, and then when she started singing, it was just kind of a letdown for the rest. It just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did like that first 45 seconds because it was different. It sounded almost like you were kind of had like a weekend vibe coming in for a minute with some of those really weird synths, and all of a sudden I heard just these very subtle like that, with the bongo / hand drums from Black Mold, and but then it just didn't go anywhere after that.
No, I agree. I kind of like how she sang the chorus, but that's kind of all I can really praise it for. It's kind of upsetting to be that much of a letdown right at the very end of an album, and a short album too. It's not like it's this an hour and 15 opus. You've got 9 tracks, and one of them is this. So
I will say that, and this is just again, you just mentioned us being me and Joe being a little more rock oriented. The one connection I did make with this song and it may just be the title. It was a weird though. It was weird the way it sounded. So have you ever heard Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath?
No.
So Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath, so it has the word planet in it, but it is a very like floaty beginning with a bunch of like hand drums and bongos and stuff. And it just kind of reminded me of that first minute of this song. And then the songs in general kind of reminded me of one another, which was just weird with the titles and then like the kind of theme, like type of sound, that they were going for.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very strange that there was a little bit of, you have to listen to it. Pantera actually did a cover of it, which was weird because it's not a song you would expect anybody to cover. It's not like a Black Sabbath hit, but
a bit of a B-side.
But they did an interesting job with it, especially with Phil's voice.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not the best ending.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I agree. That is the entire album, though. I thought it was something a little fun, a little bit different we could do for a band that I think deserves to be on the show, because I'm a bit of a I'm a big fan of their work, and for a debut, I think this is a very interesting debut. I think they covered a lot of bases, kind of showed really I don't want to say simplistic songwriting, but it's very similar to the beer. You don't have a lot of huge bells and whistles on a lot of other things. It's pretty straightforward, but its fundamentals are solid, and I think that's something that is not really found in a lot of other artists that try really hard on their openers and it doesn't really work out too well. Yeah,
no, they kind of did their thing, and it was either you like it or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's jump into some tracks. I guess we'll start with our favorite tracks. I mean, for me, it's tough to beat Archie Marry Me. That's kind of their biggest one, and it's just a good time, all around.
Yeah,
a lot of good vibes with that one.
I think I got to go with Next of Kin.
Also great.
Being one of their singles, I thought that was one of the more intricate songs. There were just a lot more pieces that I could jump into and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was their first real song that, even though, Adult Diversion was a great opener and Archie Marry Me wasn't a bad song, the Ones Who Love You was a little down, but Next of Kin, I felt like that was the first song that the band in general, from top to bottom, really shined and kind of gave you a little glimpse of what they could really do. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Least favorite track, can we just agree it's Red Planet?
Yeah, I have to agree. The only other one that I kind of gave like a thought was the Agency Group, and I think me, if it's going to be a 4.5-minute song or a 5-minute song or a 7-minute song, it's got to have it going on, and that was the longest song on the album, and it didn't really have much going on. But I will say, after then listening to Red Planet, other than that first like 40 seconds of like, oh, this could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then putting it as the closer, how we get with our openers and our closers and our track listings.
Yeah.
That was a letdown at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Especially following what I would say my favorite song was.
Yeah. And it's also 3:58, so it's just shy of 4 minutes. So it's the second longest one. So I could see why you want to go.
So as well. We can both agree, Red Planet.
Yeah. Sleepy Dark Horse. There's a couple, in my opinion. I guess I'd say Atop a Cake is probably the best one. I guess I would also say Party Police is also a really great, in my opinion. I really love that's because it's something, it's like right in the dead center of the album. So if you just kind of listen to the first couple or just the singles, you're gonna miss it. But especially Atop the Cake, if you don't listen to the full album, you're gonna miss that one. And it still has like the third or fourth least amount of streams. So I think it deserves to have a lot more attention paid to it. So Atop a Cake. With slight shout outs to Party Police.
Yeah, especially Atop a Cake being at the end of the album. Like you said, it's the unofficial closer. But you got to wait that whole time to get one of the better songs on the album. So I'm sure some people don't even get to it. And it is a great song.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's jump into some readings. I guess I will start. I like it for a debut, for something that's as fun as it is. I think it's pretty quality. I think it deserves your listen. It's pretty trim, so it's not gonna stay too long with you. If you want to just go for like a quick walk, throw it on while it's in your ear, or just like do dishes or whatever it is. Like it's pretty serviceable for that as well. So I think I'm gonna give it probably about an 8. I'd say I liked like 7 out of the 9 tracks, maybe like 7.5, because I probably give like Dives maybe a half point. But yeah, I think about an 8 is where I'm gonna sit with this one. It's a good album.
All right, I'm gonna give it a 6. Not quite my kind of music, but kind of going along the lines of you. Like the first 4 songs I liked. Atop Cake I liked. So there's 5. Party Police wasn't bad. Really, Agency Group, Dives, and Red Planet were my 3 that I kind of struggled with. So is it an album I'm going to like listen to often, or even more than one more time? Maybe, probably not.
Not 610 more times.
But if it's on, I'm not going to turn it off. I'm going to, vibe to it or whatever. But yeah, I just think it wasn't a bad album. I'd be curious to see what their second album sounds like, or even their new one. If for no other reason than curiosity.
Yeah.
But you know me, I like trying to find new bands all the time and listen to different things. So it was definitely something I've never really listened to. And I think that's maybe why I made the Jeff Rosenstock comparison, only because, I'm not well versed in this style and this, branding of music. And when you get into that indie scene, for me, I don't have the toolbox yet to really decipher the difference, other than like when it comes to the musician side, like, oh, he's a little more guitar heavy, a little bit more indie rock, where these guys are a little more indie pop. And so that's where, but I could still hear that generic like indie sound.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess 6.
That's pretty fair. Yeah. Yeah, I did the math. If you do like 5.5 divided by 9, it's like 0.61 repeated. So that's about it. Yeah. Yeah. So now to transition all the way back to our good friends over at Thomas Hooker Brewery at Fairway India Pale Ale. This is a really good beer. I really do enjoy it. I think there's stuff about it that is, again, like the album, a little too simplistic, doesn't really have that giant X factor that jumps out at you. But again, I really do enjoy it. I think it's pretty versatile. It doesn't leave you with that bad, like sometimes you'll drink an IPA and it leaves that really weird aftertaste. They're just like, or like you kind of wince at a little bit.
Yep. Or you get that bite of something.
Yeah. This does not have that at all, in my opinion. Pretty flat standard 5%, not anything that's going to weigh you down, but it's something that you can still feel and notice. I really love this beer. I'm gonna give it a 9. I think it's worth it.
Same thing.
You're also giving it a 9. Wow.
Get a 9. That was I was bouncing around a little bit, but I gotta say, I've been drinking this for a couple years now, me and Trevor, golfing especially. And not even with the golf aspect involved. It is just a solid drinkable, especially when you get some of these IPAs that are in 16-ounce cans. Sometimes it's hard to finish them before they start to get warm. And as we all know, a warm IPA is not easy to drink. Nope. But this is just a very smooth IPA. It's got a good flavor. It's not overly citrusy. It's not under citrus. It's like, it doesn't really have the X factor to make it a 10.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's got everything.
Very close.
It's got everything you want in an IPA that, if you say, hey, I just need a good New England IPA, take it, you're going to be happy.
100%. I agree. Yeah. I'm glad we agree on that, because that's a good one. So.
No, it is.
Yeah, let's shout them out. Alvvays, I believe they're always banned on all of their socials, and it's spelled with 2 V's instead of a W, so it's ALVVAYS.
But you think
band.
they wouldn't need the band portion because I'm not sure anyone else is putting that on there. But okay.
And they're going on tour. I think they might be on tour already, and they're going as they go. Again, I'm going to see them in November. I'm very, very excited. I haven't seen them since pre-COVID, so I hope their new album is very good as well. That should drop in October. So we'll see about that. And Thomas Hooker Brewery, they're at hookerbeer.com, which I think is a really great URL. Give your kids some Hooker beer. I don't know what their Instagram is offhand. That's probably just look up Thomas Hooker. You'll find it. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you the at. Screw you. Thanks for listening, but screw you. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's been episode 96. Episode 97 is Mike's picks. Mike, why don't you tell us about what you're going to bring to the podcast?
All right. So I am bringing Joey Harcum, and it is his 2022 release, April 15th. It came out, called Salt and Tar. So it is, I'll be completely honest with you. I was listening to a band, and Amazon does when the album ends, or when the shuffle through their songs end, it goes on to similar artists. I don't even remember who I was listening to. It was, some like reggae rock kind of band. And
yes, that seems about you.
and this song, Sick and Tired, came on, which is the third track on it. And I was like, it just caught my attention. The lyrics, the guitar, the vocals, it caught and I was like, oh, I really like this song. And sometimes certain songs catch my attention in the terms of, I really like this song, I want to learn it, like for myself, like how to play it and all that, which I did. But needless to say, I went and found the album, and then I had to listen to the album, and I was like sitting by the campfire, and I'm listening to it, and you can, when we listen to it, you get that vibe. I've never heard of this guy. Now he's putting a song out with the Bumpin' Uglies, which I listen to them a lot. So it just like all kind of fell into place, and I don't know, I really like this. It's a little different from what I would normally come to the table with, but and it's brand new, just came out this year.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
And what are you bringing to drink?
Yeah, Surfside. So it is by Stateside Vodka. It is their pre-made vodka iced tea.
Ooh,
delicious.
I know you're on a big stateside kick, so I'm interested to see how this comes out.
All right,
let's do it. Episode 97 next week. Let's do it. Yeah, Hops and Bops podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're getting very close to episode 100. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a fun one planned for that one. So get excited. Hops and Bops podcast. Go give us a follow on all the good social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, obviously, streaming live on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Audible, Stitcher. Like, if you want a full list, go to like anchor.com/Hops and Bops podcast, and we have like 10 or 12 different ones that we're all streaming to. So whatever your preference is, if you want to see the video, I think it's just Spotify and YouTube. But yeah, that's been it for us. Mike, thank you for joining me. And episode 97 will be out next week. So we will see you then. For Mike, I am Tom, and we will see you next time.
Peace.